Hello, good evening, or maybe good morning, depends on where you're at. It's been a pretty nice day here in Texas. We're getting a lot more clouds, which is nice. It's a little humid though, a little bit humid. So thank you for joining us. Sorry for the little delay. We're not real super
No, we weren't delayed at all. We were
Oh,
right on time.
oh, we were right on time, but with the mic change and all that, I just appreciate your patience for all of that. Um, Well, if there's any questions and questions that you want answered, just write them down and in the chat, and Corrina will get them to me, and we'll answer them as best that I can. But in the meantime, I'll just tell you what I've been kind of looking into and being shown more recently, and that is how important the subtle anatomy is with the also the energies of our body, because the energies and the physical body, they're pretty tightly connected. So, what I've noticed is that people, when they get the cranial, sacral, and subtle work, any kind of subtle work done, where there's actually feelings in the body where they're correcting or unwinding, it feels to me like their energy is running much better through the meridian system as well as the chakra system. So that's another area to explore. It's very, very fascinating. And then I find that when I use just tones at the end of the session, that people seem to go into a nice deep state. They go a little deeper. And my theory is, it's only a theory, is that the tones are kind of putting everything in place of what's shifted on them for that day. And it seems like it's, I don't know, like just everything is aligning better, even down to the energetic level. It's definitely different. And a lot of times they look different when they get up and go into the office. They look different. They look like they've gotten younger and brighter. And I think that that's just from the subtle work as well as the tones and the movement of the energy in a little bit different alignment. So I'm going to keep studying into that a little bit more because it's pretty fascinating. And there's a lot of connection, just a whole lot of connection with the physical and um, the etheric, I guess you could say, the energy level of the body. So that's an interesting thing that we can move into if there's interest out there for learning more about that. Because I really want to make this a time where it's going to reach you and get clarity for you as to why I feel this work is very foundational to do. I really feel strongly that working off of the body is fine, and some people are ready for that right away. But if there's a lot of stuff in people's lives or they haven't resolved some of the issues that they have emotionally, that really does need to be cleared for everything else to, just manifest itself in a positive way. Not that it's negative the other way, but I just feel strongly from my observation over the last 38 years now, I think it is, that there's such a strong connection with the energetic body as well as the physical structure of the body. And when you think about it, our bodies are really quite miraculous the way they're put together. It's just that we don't understand a lot about our bodies. A lot of times we think we have to push and pull and cut and saw, and sometimes we do have to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that when it's needed. But then we're also needing to pay attention to what we're putting into the body because there's so much toxicity out there, and it's very difficult to keep that alive, to get the toxicity out of the body to give us more support, because the body will function better when it doesn't have to deal with a lot of toxins, particularly the liver and the bile and the lymph system and immune system. All of that will function so much better. So I can talk about that more in depth at another time if there's interest. And so
And
if
that
there's,
actually is a good leeway because someone's asked about lymphatic drainage lessons with Athena again. So where you were kind of talking about concepts of like how you could work on yourself.
oh, just to open up, yeah,
And then just kind of like let them know. And then any
yeah.
other tips you want to give them about improving lymphatic flow? That is our first question.
Okay, to improve lymphatic flow is actually more involved than it seems, although you can get the fluids moving just with a full body lymph is better because then you're because then you're you're opening up all of the nodes, and considering that there's no pump with the lymph system, it's good to have a full body lymph system so that everything can start to pump and the nodes can be drained wherever there's a stuck node. But there are little things you can do just to open up little pieces of the lymph system, like around the neck and the head and the face, which is very helpful as well. The lymph system gets slowed down primarily from the what's happening with the bile. If the bile isn't flowing, because the bile is kind of like a detergent, and if the bile isn't flowing really well, then it's going to slow down the lymph. And the lymph will become very gelatinous or kind of like cottage cheese. And then the immune system hangs out a lot in the lymph system. So if that's being sluggish, and it's kind of like, let me see if I can figure out a little analogy for you. Like when you're driving, you want to have, clear traffic, especially on the freeway. You just want to be able to go and enter and exit and have all the traffic flow. But if there's an accident or something up the road, then everything gets slowed down. So it's like and let's say that there's some place on the body where the immune system needs to go to because there's something that it needs to, look at, like maybe a bacteria or fungus or something like that it needs to begin to go and take care of. But if it's all clogged up, then the entrance ways into the freeway are going to be slowed down to get into that lane where you're on the freeway. So if you imagine that it's like the emergency, like the EMS or something like that, can't get on the freeway as fast, and that EMS is carrying, a bunch of lymph fluid or a bunch of, immune cells to get to this injury. It's going to take a while to get there, and so the immunity is going to be slowed down as well. And if the lymph system is really stuck and really, really sluggish, then that's an opening to be getting sick because the immune system is just going to be wearing itself out trying to get to where it needs to go to combat anything. So that's something to think about. And of course, it all kind of comes back to how well the bile is flowing. So we need a good system in our digestive system, and we need a good, clean, or at least something that's moving well through the liver so that doesn't get backed up and overloaded, because the liver has a lot of functions, 500, and about 200 of them are working simultaneously all at once. So that's a lot of work to do. I think the liver is probably the most worked organ in the body. But if that's going to back up because of toxins and things like that, then the bile is going to be slowed down and it's not going to be able to do what it needs to do. And then the lymph will be slowed down. And then the immunity is going to be very weak. So it's more than just taking like, oh, this is good for the immune system. But if the other parts of the body aren't also working together in a synergistic way with the immune system, then you're still going to have trouble with your immune system. And those particular, like olive leaf and things like that are really good for the lymph, they'll do a little bit of help, but they're not going to do as good of a job as it would if you were to go in and have a full lymph session and get deeply relaxed and then letting the lymph start to flow. Because people really feel different after a lymph session. They really feel light, and they just feel better. They don't feel kind of all clogged up. So I hope that made sense to you.
Can you lead them through, and then I'll try to do what you're explaining explain it
Oh,
to me
okay.
too.
Yeah,
Let's do like, what would be the routine for lymphatic self-care or just helping?
yeah. This would be just for like stuffy head, opening up that, which is the first thing that you want to open up anyway. So if you want to start, here's the clavicles, there are two bones across there. So you want to take your fingers where there's a little dent there. The sternum is underneath, or there's two little joints there, the sternoclavicular junction. So you're on either side of that joint, those two joints, and then you tuck your fingers kind of underneath the.
Here, let me zoom it in on you a little bit.
Hmm.
Let me zoom it in on you
Oh, okay.
so you can see a little bit better.
So you tuck. Okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah,
so you.
the mic is kind of blocking it, so I'm just gonna bring
Oh,
the mic
okay.
over like this.
Okay. Okay, this will make it a little bit easier for you to see. So you're going to take your fingers and just set them along that clavicle from where that joint is. And you're just going to, like, you don't push very hard on it, but you want to go behind the clavicle and just make like a little skin stretch pushing in, and then you'll ride the skin back. So you'll take a little push forward or into the direction of that joint, like where the sternum is, push it a little bit there and then ride it back. Because this is where it's going to open for the rest of the body. And so that's the opening part. And even if you're going to work somebody's leg that's really swollen, you want to make sure that you open up these nodes. So you do that, 3 to 5 times. And make sure that you feel a ride back, because the lymph system is very delicate, and if there's too much pressure on it, it'll just kind of move away. You won't even be dealing with the lymph system. And then you can back up a little bit more where the clavicle is and push it a little bit more forward or downward. You're going to be taking it in a medial direction, and then come into here. And then you can cross your hands and just go right up. This is a neck chain. You'll just do skin stretching, coming down and up and down and up. And then move it a little bit more and down and up. That up part is the ride back. So it's a little tiny skin stretch, and then you ride it back up. And then down, or that would be inferior direction. And then just make sure that you're riding that back up. And then you can go up here. There's a lot of lymph nodes right under the ear, and you can take your hands and you do the same thing. You're pulling downward, so it's heading in this direction. So you're pulling, inferiorly, and you've got it by the ears, and then keep moving it downward. And so that'll open that up. And then you can go to the face and take care of some of the facial stuff, which you can just start at the cheeks and move it back. Yeah, so you're moving it, to the back of the head, which would be posterior. So you're pulling it back and feeling the lymph moving there, and just a light skin stretch. Nothing that's very much. And then there's a triangle here. So this lymph will move this way and this lymph will move down. So when you get to this, just kind of take your hands where the nose is and do the skin stretching, then back, which is known as rinsing. And you just stretch a little bit and then move back. And then you can take from the chin and pull down and around the mouth, where you kind of move outward, because you want to flow it this way. And then you can go up the nose, and you can come back down, and then bring your hands. You want to also be sure that you're taking it all the way down to the clavicular nodes. And then you can also just go up and start, at your temples, and just move it back a little bit, and just kind of clear the face like that with little skin stretching. And that will oftentimes help open up some congestion. Sometimes that'll help relieve headaches if they're not real severe headaches, because sometimes headaches are just from the pressure of having a lot of fluid in that area. So that'll help a little. It's very difficult to teach that without actually working with someone's hands, because there's so much to it and the pressure is so important. But you can just play with that a little bit and see how it works. But just remember to stay light, light skin stretches, and then ride that skin back. So you do give a little bit of pressure as you're moving it, and then you just want to let up on the pressure and just let the skin ride back to where it was. So that's a little help for them,
That was
I hope.
wonderful. That was very, very fascinating. So we have Nick says hello from Uzbekistan.
Oh, hello.
Rachel, hello from Dublin, Ireland.
Wow.
Hello to Nick, Axe, Kim, Kenneth. So both Athena and I are on our own now. We are no longer with that channel you mentioned there. So we're so glad you're here. Welcome to
Yeah.
Athena's version. Athena's version. And Kim Lamont has a question. She says, I'm just going to bring this a little closer.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
it's
there we
on.
go. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be definitely from the cranial and the.
So go ahead and restart your answer again
Oh.
because it was muted there because I forgot to.
Oh, you did?
I thought I clicked the button, but I guess I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yes, in my opinion, from my work for so many years and what I've seen and what I've experienced, that when the foot is off, the cuboid bone is out, then you have a misstep with the heel strike. That's where the heel will hit, and then the way the foot will go across the pavement or whatever you're walking on, the floor. And so that'll be out a little bit. And so from that part,
Skelly in here so you can.
oh, okay. So that part, that would be affecting the knee, and then the knee with being a little bit out. Oh, a big foot. So the cuboid bone is over on the outside, and if you had plantar fasciitis, I'm sure that you were walking a little funny because it probably hurt. Here's the cuboid bone. This is kind of hard. Right here, and on the side, you got to move his hips because he's
Okay,
kind
here,
of.
do you have his leg?
I
I'll
have
let
him.
you hang out there, and I'm going to zoom in on that foot a little bit.
Okay.
It is really interesting when you're showing the anatomy stuff.
Yeah, the cuboid bone is called cuboid because it sort of looks like a cube, but not really, but it looks close enough to a cube. So the cuboid bone, so as your heel is coming down, I don't think his knee is supposed to move like that, but as your heel would come down, because there's pain there, plantar fasciitis would be painful, then you're going to be moving a little bit because of the pain. It only makes sense, and that's just what happens. And so when that cuboid bone gets out because the foot is landing funny and then all that weight on there, then it's going to take the rest of the bones of the foot slightly out of alignment. And you may not notice any pain or anything in the other bones, but they'll compensate, and they will be a little bit out of alignment, just a very small amount, but that's all it takes. And then over a period of time, it's going to affect the ankle. So the bones of the ankle are going to be a little bit off with the tibia and the fibula. And that's going to make a difference too with the heel strikes, because then you're moving that bone along with it. And then that's going to affect up into the knee, because knees are really just hinge joints like a door. And so you're probably twisting a little bit out of alignment because it wants to do a door thing, you know, a hinge joint thing, but it's got to move a little bit because of the way the foot now is being placed. And then from that, that's going to affect the up into the hip socket, and that's going to be a little bit out. And as that goes out, this whole bone here is this crest of this big hip bone is going to be a little bit slightly moved, which would affect back in the back, where you can see this here. There's a little joint here, and that's part of the sacrum. The sacrum is here, and then the hip comes out. But that's going to move this bone wherever it has to move, and then this will be off, and so your low back and your sacrum are going to take the brunt of that misalignment. So it does work itself up the anatomy, which is kind of hard for some people to understand. But it's just like, you know, when you stack some blocks and you stack 3 or 4 of them and you're real careful about how you stack them, and then you take one and you just move it a little bit to the side, and then you start stacking on top of that, pretty soon you're going to have to take another one out the other way so you can still come up. So that's kind of a picture of how that would happen from the foot, and then it's taking it out and taking it out of joint and taking it a little bit here and there. And it really doesn't take that much to begin the process of making it worse. So yes, the alignment is really, really important.
And then someone asked, how do we get rid of plantar fasciitis?
Well, that's an inflammatory thing. Itis. Well, I think it's inflammatory, and it might be a little bit of overstretched or overworked stuff on the bottom of the feet. And I'm not really sure. You could get your feet aligned. You could get your foot aligned and see how much that will help, and that may take some of the inflammation out of it. I really don't know what to do. I mean, if someone came in, they've come in with plantar fasciitis, and I've just worked the foot and the knee and the hip to get it all aligned. And you could do a little lymph to remove some of the fluid that might be stuck in those joints. But I don't know, you know, you could find some kind of a herbal salve or something like that to put on it that would maybe, you know, help with the inflammation. That is probably the only thing I can think of. I'm sure there's other things out there that would help.
Do you mind if I share something on plantar fasciitis?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so that channel I was on that y'all mentioned earlier, I got to make a lot of videos with a lot of amazing people, and this was one of those topics that came up several times. So if y'all remember CP, Christy Powell, she's she doesn't do sports massage, but she does like physical therapy and rehab. And we actually did a video where she showed this exercise. It's called pen penny. And so you put a penny under your big toe and you take a pen at the arch of your foot. And the whole idea is that you're working to strengthen up the arch of your foot by lifting up the arch over the pen, right? Because plantar fasciitis, a lot of times that arch is dropping. So trying to pull the arch a little bit away from the pen while you keep the big toe still grounded on the penny. But that was an exercise that she did. And if y'all go back to that channel and you know, you'll find that video. It's maybe 10 years old. But her whole perspective was that if you have plantar fasciitis, you shouldn't be wearing a big arch support shoe. You should actually wear either a barefoot shoe or just a one that doesn't have a big, gigantic arch support, and then work on actually strengthening your arch. And then I want to show you this shoe. And if y'all go to my TikTok, there's like a whole video where I talk about this shoe. But one of the things is a wide toe box is what they call that. And what it means is that there's plenty of room for your foot. and your foot isn't getting squished.
That's interesting. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
So room for your foot to what they call splay. Like, who doesn't love to splay? Splay out, right? So room for your foot to splay, plenty of room for your toes to wiggle around. Now, this particular one is what's considered a barefoot shoe. So the sole is quite thin, and actually it's super bendy. So I can do any yoga pose, any little squat motion, any little toe squat in these shoes, and I love that. That's excellent for me. But it is a consideration if you're not used to shoes like this. It can also feel nice to have a little more cushion. But the idea is that maybe if you're using the big arch supports in your shoes, try getting some shoes that don't have that, and then know that you may need to still kind of alternate between the shoes, because as you strengthen that arch of your foot, it's going to hurt at first, right? Muscles hurt when we're strengthening them. So just know there's kind of this, it'll be a little worse at first thing, but then over time, the idea is that if you're actually strengthening your arch, which helps protect the subtle alignment of your foot, which Athena was just explaining, then hopefully, that should help.
That's excellent.
And then I would just also mention like strengthening your calves, strengthening your legs, whether it's just little, coming up on your toes, little calf raises. But when you help strengthen the other muscles of the legs, the knee and the foot, and do little, rotations with your ankle, keeping that ankle joint nice and healthy, because the ankle joint is what helps you step on your foot and keep your balance, which arguably is also part of the plantar fasciitis, component, right?
That's really good. It sounds like she's either a podiatrist or a.
Was I fucking mute? No, I wasn't muted that whole time. Could y'all hear that?
That she must be a podiatrist or.
She's just a physical therapist.
Yeah,
but
I
like
was
a-
going to
for
say.
act-
That's excellent. That's excellent stuff because I don't think of that kind of stuff.
Wait, let me get this.
Because my work is different than that, but that's excellent because that would be something good to do. Get it aligned and then work the muscles, as Corrina was saying, and do that exercise with that. Yeah, because, it's not just the subtle alignment. That's just really the foundational stuff. But then you do have to keep doing things to strengthen the muscles and so they can hold in those positions. That's excellent. That's good stuff.
Oh, good. I'm glad you think so.
Yeah, because I do work the arch of the foot too with that, but I basically find that I work the cuboid more often than I do a lot of the other bones in the feet. That's excellent.
It's
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
foundation.
Take that to heart because that's good stuff.
All right.
Yeah, that's really good
and then
stuff.
we have another question here. So Rachel H says, "Do you have any suggestion to help with relaxation and trying to get to sleep? It takes me hours to fall asleep. As soon as I lie down to sleep, my mind just becomes super active."
Oh,
That never happens to me.
well, that's kind of a thing where you're going to have to just tell your brain that it needs to rest, and maybe by doing that, you could. What I've been told is just tell my muscles, say muscles, you're going to relax, and focus on the body, just relaxing, and just saying, muscles, you're going to relax, and take a deep breath, and just pay attention to what's going on in your body, so the mind is occupied in a different area. And I know my mind used to just race around like a monkey mind and just jabber and jabber. And that's very annoying, to say the least.
I find
So-
that having a sign helps.
Yeah. But I lay down in bed and I just tell my muscles to relax and just relax. And I just kind of feel from my feet up, and I have some pain, of course, in my legs where the hardware is. And so I just tell that to relax, and so I don't feel so much tension around that. And then just go into my stomach and my shoulders and my neck and my face. And, it's a practice, really, to get yourself to move that mind from out there on things going on in the world that you might be thinking about, and then pull it inside. And another thing, I don't know, there's lots of different ideas on a more spiritual sense, but you can just go in and begin to tell yourself, good things, like I'm grateful that I'm able to, you know, relax. I'm grateful that I'm going to sleep well, and just call that stuff into you, because the inner self is important to develop as well, so that that, even if you feel like you can't relax or you're unable to relax very well, that you're still going to be okay when you bring that inside of you and just, let go of it all. And, you know, however you see it, people see so many different ways of spirituality, and there's not anything that's right or wrong. It's just the perspective that we have. But it would be good just to go in and just have gratefulness, and hey, muscles, thank you for relaxing. You're going to relax now, and keep your mind, working with the body. That's how I did it anyway, when I was just, I mean, it was horrible, and then it just keeps on going and going and going. Or there's a thing called, what is it called? Oh, I can't think of it right now. It's called Calm something.
Oh, magnesium? Calm?
Well, no, this is just like an essence spray, and it'll put you to sleep. It's in my bathroom right now, so I can't get it, but I'll get the name of it and remember it next time. But that, or Rescue Remedy, that's another one that you could. There's
Can you
another
go
one.
look in your bathroom? Let me go grab
I
it.
don't know if you can find it.
All right, you keep talking.
I don't know where it is even. It's on that somewhere on the shelf.
I'll just look around. If I don't find it, I'll come back.
Okay.
I bet it'll be
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, and really the inner parts of us is really really important to pay attention to as well, because if your mind is off on a circular, chitty chatty thing, then your body's going to stay in a little bit more stress. So you really have to really tell the body that you need to time. It's body time. It's time for the nerves to go into parasympathetic. No more sympathetic in there. No nervousness. None of that. Just let those nerves go, as well as the muscles, and just allow yourself to start thinking in a different mode. And if there's, for a while, I kind of think that the mind oftentimes leads us astray down, avenues that are a little bit difficult to deal with, because it's really not from our mind, a lot of things. It's important to have a really acute mind and one that works well, but we have to also remember that, if we kind of go inside and we just kind of dwell in our heart and just start talking to the heart a little bit, and just ask for relaxation to come, ask for all of that to just let go, that's going to be a really important part, and a really good discipline to do too. Just kind of everything out there, everything on the outside, just let it go. Let it go, and your true self is within you. And so you just can be with yourself, and if you start to think differently in that may help. And the thing that she's looking for, I wish I could remember the name. It's Calm something, but that will put you to sleep, and it's not like a sleeping pill or anything, because I think, in my opinion, I think that a lot of the sleep medicine is not good for us. It's, it's got toxins in it, and I don't really know what it does, but over time it seems like people just don't respond to it. So if you do take that, you just go there and take it, and then get inside of yourself and feel your heart, feel your heartbeat. Be in gratitude all the time. Be in gratitude. Just thank yourself that you're able to have a bed to sleep in, and it's comfortable, and you want to, um, let the parasympathetic nervous system take hold, so you can go deeply, deeply, deeply into a state of relaxation. It's not easy. It is like a practice, but we do have to take control of a lot of our thinking. Our thinking is interesting. I'm waiting for Corrina to get back. But our thinking is interesting because when even our thoughts, when we speak certain ways, like mean and that kind of thing, and it's not uplifting, we're putting like a vibration into the field. And it has impact. really it has an impact because it's frequency, it's energy, it's vibration. And I think it was Tesla that said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, look at vibration, frequency, and energy. So start to see yourself a little bit different, that you're not really physical, because physicality is temporary. We want to enjoy what we have, but it is temporary. And so we want to move into that space that we are, like where we go in our dream world, or just the space of where we really are, who we really are, that kind of thing. So did you find it?
I didn't find it.
Oh, I could go out there and get it.
Is it a tincture or a spray?
I don't remember. I think it's a tincture.
Oh, because I was kind of looking for a spray.
Oh, well, why don't you talk a while and I'll go out and,
Okay.
okay? It'll take me a little while. Okay, Corrina's gonna fill you in, and there's probably a lot more questions that came in. And since it's kind of quiet.
Yeah, it's kind of cool out there too, so it kind of feels good to get a little fresh
Open the
air.
door for a while.
Oh, yeah, maybe I could. All right, all right, all right. Thank y'all so much for being here. All right, so y'all know I have lots of thoughts about sleep. Okay, so Clover ASMR, good to see you. Glad you're here. Clover says, I truly believe many sleep problems start with what is in the bedroom, like computers, TVs, etc., that have so much energy that disrupt the calm. So that's not even considering the stuff that's coming out of the TV, right? So one aspect is, I believe, just recognizing that a lot of the media, movies, TV shows, all of that stuff is really kind of made to keep us in kind of a state of adrenaline. Most of those things are not made with an intention to help us relax, help us feel more calm, or help us sleep. Which is one reason we all love ASMR so much, right? Because then there actually is something designed exactly for that. So being aware of how those things influence you, I think number one. Then from an electronic perspective, that blue light and the LED lights or fluorescent lights, they flash. Even though we don't see that they flash, because they're flashing so fast, our eyes and our brain actually don't see the flashing, but they are flashing, and I do believe that they have an extremely negative impact on our nervous system, even on our actual eyeballs. So if you can get rid of the LED lights, if you can look for incandescent lights, if you can, at least at the end of the night, make sure you don't have LEDs on. Hold on, we're gonna switch
Yeah,
a
maybe
little
an
bit
hour
here.
before. Yeah, maybe an hour before they go to sleep to get away from the computers. Did you mention that?
Yeah, and then Athena chimed in, and then maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours before bedtime, you really do your best to get away from the TV, the electronics, etc. Now, I say that as someone who is on my phone often super late at night. I don't always take the advice that I give, but I am conscientious about when I really know I need to be up early in the morning, trying to make myself turn off the TV, get away from, working at the laptop or something like that. So even if we're on our phone, you can turn down your brightness, you can switch it to that night mode where it kind of makes things a little bit more red, and just that little change alone. I know for me, I love the Himalayan salt lamps. We have, I believe, one up there, another one over in the corner there.
A light bulb ran out on
But
that
but that nice warm light is great for helping you fall asleep. And I think it also kind of recreates that feeling of sunset a little bit. maybe that's part of why that type of light just helps me relax a little bit.
Yeah. And you also want to try to sleep in as dark a room as possible because that stimulates the melatonin. Well, I was wrong. It's in pill form.
Oh, well, no
You
wonder I
just
couldn't
suck on.
find
Yeah,
it there.
I couldn't find it either for a while. It's called Calm Forte. It's a homeopathic. The Highlands. Oh, I can't read that, but this is what it is. It's Calm Forte, and that will. I mean, it does for me. It
So yeah, what
wipes
all
me.
is in there?
Oh, I can't read it without. That's too small of font for
It
me.
is quite small indeed. I think I gotta peel back this section to reveal the.
It's a homeopathic remedy. The hospice nurse told me to get it, especially. And then there's another one that's just calm, and she said that's good when I'm having my days that are not real good. So
Speaking of which, there was a question about how you're doing and how your recovery is going. Do you feel like?
well, I want to be brief about it.
So this is just magnesium, and then a bunch of other things. I don't know what they are. Phosphorium, chamomilla.
Yeah, that's another one.
But yeah, so
It's all good stuff. It's not.
the brand is Hylands, Hylans.
And it's called Calm Forte.
Okay, sorry. Now go ahead. Let me interrupt you again there.
What was I talking about?
Your recovery and how
Oh.
you're doing.
Thanks. Well, there's several things that are going on with me because they had. I mean, I told them I didn't believe what they said, and I've been fighting them.
You
But
gotta tell them what they said. Give them a little background because a lot of people they don't necessarily know what's
yeah, okay. Well,
the background.
when I broke my leg, they saw me as an older person that they didn't see a lot of support that I had because people work and my son works, and so they didn't think that I had any support, and so they were trying to get me into their money-making situation, and they gave me a diagnosis that I had 6 months to live, but I just totally told them, nope, I don't believe you, and I've been trying to, keep my inner self talking positive about, no, I'm healing, I know I'm healing, God, whatever, my body is healing, and I'm fighting with that. But every once in a while when the hospice nurse or not so much the chaplain, but the hospice nurse comes by, she is flabbergasted because, my vitals are always really good. They're always the same. She's looking for me to be declining, and I don't seem to be declining. But as far as walking and as far as getting that part back is really, really hard. I'm not able to do that yet. But now that when the nurse comes over, she and the chaplain are taking me down my stairs. They're, holding me, not really holding me, but they're spotting me going down the stairs so I can at least get outside at least once a week. And that feels good to go outside, I tell you, to get sunshine and walk on the dirt. But I'm just pulling in there because I don't feel like it's my time. But it makes me real emotional because they do always bring fear with them. They're always telling me something that's negative, and that's when I have breakdowns. So I don't want to break down now, so let's move on.
But it's been a lot, and it's been
been
very stressful.
Since January, since I went outside, out of the house.
So one thing we're doing, and Lauren, if you want to share all right, so we have an e-card for Athena that all of you guys can sign. So, Lauren, if you want to share that, I don't know if it lets you share links in the chat here, but essentially, any of you who would like to leave a note of encouragement and love for Athena, when you guys let her know how the videos have helped you and all of that. It really is so sweet. And when we're just behind the camera and stuff, it does feel a little disconnected in a way. So I want a way for you guys to connect with her, not just in the comments of the videos, which of course has been super nice. People leave that kind of stuff in the comments. But the e-card will be a really nice way for her to just have one place where she can kind of go and see any sweet messages that y'all would like to leave for her. And in my lives, we've also been doing a real card. And so I like hold up the card and let y'all sign it. I actually have another piece of the paper here so we can start making one. And any of y'all, so you'll have the option. You can just have me sign the card for you here in the chat. Or if you want to go and sign the e-card and maybe write a little message or something, you can do that. Heck, you could do both if you want to. But we appreciate y'all
Yeah,
so
for sure.
much. And I also believe that Athena's going to be fine. And in a couple months, we're going to look back at this and we're going to be like, wow, that was a crazy time.
Yeah.
But we're going to get through it.
And I really want to keep doing this for you because I really feel it important to bring a new kind of view as to medicine and how to take care of ourselves and our body. And even though you go through sickness and you go through tough times, you know, to stay away from the toxic stuff is really important. And that's, I think, part of why I'm able to get, you know, so far ahead and kind of baffle them. She's trying to find anything she can, you know, I mean, she measures my arm and, you know, if it's just like, I don't know, a little tiny bit lower, she goes, well, that's a good thing because now you're declining. And it's like, don't say that, you know, don't say that.
Yeah, the hospice nurse is not trying to encourage her towards healing and give her feelings that she's making all this progress. So an interesting comment on the, you know, medical system that like, why didn't you have an option to just go home and recover from the surgery? You know, they're anyway, so
Yeah. Well, it's actually because of the diagnosis, they kind of surrounded me. But it's not like I'm not in there's several different programs for it. And what I am is I'm at home and I have to have somebody come once a week. And it gives me a time to have somebody to talk to, you know, because I'm alone pretty much. But it's also that I have a 24-hour service. So if I were to fall, which I'm not going to do that, but if that or if something happens and I get maybe a bug and I get kind of sick, then I can call 24 hours because my son is close by, but he has to work and I don't want to call him at 3 in the morning. So that, because of that particular option, and then they'll give me things like, you know, anything that I need. They've got a bunch of medical drugs in my closet, but I'm not using any of those. And they are allowing me to use the kratom and other things. And they don't say anything about my eating because they know I'm not going to listen anyway. So, but it's okay. And you know, this is my journey, and I'm learning a lot through it. And I'm still able to, you know, talk to people, and you know, even if it's just one person, I just feel that that's my calling. And I, honest to God, do not feel anything in my heart space at all that my time is yet. But there's people around that, you know, they have a different mindset. And I have to let that be, and I have to get a little bit tougher skin so that it doesn't affect me so much. But I'm so used to having, like, Corrina's really positive, and she does a lot for me. And, you know, my son is really supportive, and people that do come by are really supportive of me. For the most part, I tell the other ones not to come. And then this dark negative force comes in, so I'm figuring out what kind of gemstone or something I should wear when they come over, like the, you know, black tourmaline or something to ward off negativity and
Yes,
stay
to
grounded.
protect your space.
Yeah, yeah, because it's difficult, but at the same time, I'm growing through it, and I understand much more now about people that are truly in pain and how that is, and people recovering from things. So it's all in all, it's okay. It's just a kind of an emotional thing when I think about all the negative that they told me. And one of the things that I want you all to really understand is if the doctors or nurses or whatever, the white coats, if they ever tell you that you only have X amount of time to be here on earth, don't listen to them because I was told by the nurse and a couple other people that were in nursing that usually when that happens, the person that they're telling that to is gone in the time that they tell them because it plants such a negative root and they just believe that. And I mean, I fought the doctors like crazy because they were coming in wanting a liver biopsy, and I told them to get out of my room. I said, I'm here for a broken leg. I'll deal with anything else later on, but you're not taking a liver biopsy. I wouldn't let them touch me for what they were trying to scare me into. So, and I have other opinions, but we won't continue into that. I have really a lot of different opinions about what the C word, C disease, the prophet disease, is really all about. And I want to be careful when I talk about that because I don't want to get removed from the channel. But I think it's basically that it's for profit. It's torturous, and it doesn't ever leave anybody in a better situation. It just kind of yokes them into the system and puts a lot of fear.
So much, yeah, so much
So much fear.
And then yes. So you want to get back into
Yeah, it's the positives.
a
Yeah.
little question? Okay,
Yeah,
so
because that's really hard for me to talk about,
I
as you
know,
could
but
tell.
thank you for sharing and thank you for talking about it and thank you everyone, your kindness and your support.
Oh, yeah.
And there is a GoFundMe page in all of the video descriptions except for the one on this live. I don't think I have it there, but she does have a GoFundMe. And so those of y'all, no pressure on anyone.
No.
I don't want anyone to feel pressured, but people always ask and end up emailing or messaging and asking. So if someone is in a position that you want to support her in that way, you can go to the GoFundMe. And thank you so much, everyone who has already donated.
Oh, yeah.
there.
That's really a big help because I don't have the client load that I used to have, so I'm getting down to pretty thin cloth there. But I trust that I'm going to be okay. I have a big trust that whatever happens, I'll be okay. So, but whatever your heart leads, I would appreciate it. But if it's not something you can do comfortably, you being present is enough. That's a lot of help.
34 people right now, and we have 19 likes on the video. Thank everyone for liking. All right, so Kelly K is our next question.
Okay.
She says, "Hi Athena, hope you're keeping well. Have loved watching you for many years.
Oh.
I've recently been diagnosed with spinal stenosis. I guess L1, 2, and 2, 4. I'm not sure. What do you recommend to improve my condition and pain?" And I'm going to get you Skelly here so
Well,
you can point to...
The thing about stenosis, it's really difficult because your bone is growing inside, and it will put pressure inside, like where this is. Inside of here, the bone is going to keep growing, so it's going to narrow down, and it's going to narrow down. And I worked a gentleman a number of years ago who had pretty severe stenosis, and he didn't want to do surgery, but I think eventually he had to because it was just keeping on growing. But he came in for weekly cranial work, and he was able to go up and roof his house and do a lot of other things because the pain was subsided a little bit. But stenosis is a real difficult one. There may be, I don't know how to, I haven't really looked into it, but There might be something dietary that may be causing these bones to grow. There might be too much calcium and not enough of, I think it's magnesium and potassium. There's a combination that you need, but if you have too much calcium, that's when you get bone spurs, and that's when things like that will develop on the bone because the calcium isn't going to be absorbed in the right way. So I don't know. I can take a look and see, just research that out a little bit more, or you can, look online, kind of stay away from the mainstream stuff about it if you can, and try to look at the alternative things. But it might be something that dietary you may need, or there's something that you're getting too much of and it's unable to absorb. That just kind of came to me, but I don't know for sure what really causes it. I just know that more and more people are showing up with stenosis. So it may be something that they're putting into foods or drinks or something like that too. So I just, check out that, because there's not much you can do when the bone is growing like that. Just like it's hard to get rid of bone spurs, and that would be. I know the bone spurs have to deal with the too much calcium that it can't be absorbed. There's no way it can be absorbed. So calcium isn't necessarily what we need completely, because we do need other minerals along with it. So does that help?
Mm-hmm.
I hope that helps you. At least it'll give you a kind of a direction that you can take yourself in and check to be sure if that's the case, and then you could just change that diet or whatever, and and just alter that, or get the supplement that needs to be with the calcium. So that's really the only thing I can say about that. Maybe a good nutritionist might know that more than likely they'd have to be outside of the training of what we're used to hearing. I mean, there's going to be a new medical system coming too. There's been something passed and considered in the Supreme Court about energy medicine, and that's going to involve some technology from very, very high technology that has a capability of renewing bones and renewing our bodies. There's some out there, they're called med beds, but there's one that uses quantum waves instead of scalar waves. And that is supposed to be offered to the public probably in a very short time. And now that that Chevron, whatever documents or whatever it's called, now that that has been passed, the power that some of these three-letter agencies don't have that power anymore. And so it will be easier to get this new medicine into play, which will basically take out the old medicine. So that will be a big change that's going to come. I don't know when, but it is going to happen soon. So just keep your ears to the ground, and I'll be telling you as soon as I know if it's out there. I'll be screaming it from the rooftops, because that will be wonderful. I'm waiting for that, because it could supposedly it's going to be able to dissolve all of my hardware, and it will put new bones in my body. So that's kind of exciting. So that's another thing, to look if you're hurting and you're in a lot of pain. Keep thinking positive that there's something out there that's going to help. So, just get to your spirit self and ask, what can I do in the meantime to alleviate some of this? Because just keep on putting that out into the ether, and those wavelengths, those dynamics, so that we get it sooner than later. Because if we put doubt out there, then, that's going to slow it down.
So Clover ASMR has asked, and by the way, so many people saying, "You're amazing, your videos have helped me so
Thank
much
you.
over the years." I mean, I'm not going to read them all to you here
Well,
now,
thank
but I'll
you.
read them after.
No, that really cheers me up to know that there's, I'm not alone. That really does. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough.
All right, so then Clover asked, let me just try to pin this comment.
My phone is strange.
It's not the phone, it's just, okay, it's not working anyways. Okay, so Clover ASMR asked, what are some generally good places on the skull to apply pressure when trying to help someone with a headache? So I brought you the skulls.
Okay.
So, 'cause it's always
I've
so
worked a lot of
interesting
headaches.
when you talk about
Yeah,
the
well, let's
skulls.
use this one first. Well, there's different headache pain in different places of the head, and you don't want to really put pressure. You want to separate the bones. You want to give
Like
it
this?
space. Yeah, well, not quite like that.
Oh,
That's
oh,
a little
okay,
bit
okay.
too cannibalistic. So, well, you can start with the frontal bone, and this is this kind of a brownish, tannish bone. If you put your fingers like right by the eyebrows, there's a kind of a little indentation. You don't want to go too far down because then you're going to run into some other bones. But just right at the edge of the what do you call it? The eyebrows, and then just place the rest of your fingers across the top of the four. Yeah, that's a.
Is that right?
This finger.
No, this one
Oh,
I'm not doing.
oh.
I'm just showing this one
Yes,
towards the camera.
that's correct. And then you take the rest of your fingers and just put it across the top of the. I'm just going to give you the simpler one because the other one's kind of complex, but this will work. And then you lay your hands on there just like you're just, setting it on like on a bowl. You're not pushing. And what you want to do here is pretend, kind of envision that you have like Velcro on your fingers and Velcro on your forehead, on the person's forehead, and then just so they're laying like this. It's better if they lay down. So you want to take that into an anterior position where you're like upward. It's an anterior on the body, and just pull, like the Velcro. So you're not really pulling, but you're stuck to the Velcro. And so you don't want to detach from the Velcro, but you just want to lift it up a little bit more and just hold that there for a while. And what you'll start to feel is as soon as you start to feel some little wiggling, that's actually their bone. It's People always get this all confused because they think it's their hands doing it. Just follow that movement that you're feeling. Just like follow it. And then so that will open up the suture line, and that can help to alleviate some of the pressure. You can also go to this green bone, and there's kind of a little ridge that happens right there. So you go straight up from the ear. This is the ear hole, and you go straight up from there, and then you can set your fingers. Now you're doing this on both sides, and you'd have to just use the cap of that one, because I think that's where yeah. So there's a little ridge. You can kind of see it on that one. Now this one, what you do is you just hold, so you're straight up from the ear, and you just put your hand there. Again, just lay it on it. Don't put pressure. And then there's the ear up to there. And then you want to just kind of just pull it toward yourself, again, with the Velcro, and then just lift that up, and till you feel it wiggling around a little bit, or sometimes one will move and then the other one will move. But you just kind of lift it like that. And
Did you mention the thumbs?
oh, yeah, thank you.
Thumbs there?
Putting your thumbs together, because you want to make sure that your hand is even. You want to get both parietal sections lifted, not just one, because they'll kind of wiggle around, but you keep them straight. So then you can just kind of take that like Velcro, but you don't want to detach from the Velcro. It's just kind of like you're stuck on a piece of tape. So that will open up again. That'll take some of that, but that'll go down into more bones, the sphenoid and the temporal bone. So that's helpful. You can take these don't have any ears, but pretend like there's the ear hole. You can just take a hold of the ears.
Show 'em on the side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So you just
And then she did specifically ask about the ears, if any. Also, what is the relationship, if any, that the ear has to the health of the So you talk about
Oh.
the ears is perfect.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah, because that's the other one that's more expanding. The sphenoid is a little more difficult, but then you can take the ears and just, it's like you put a thumb behind and then just inside of that bigger area of the ear, and you want to take a really tiny, tiny pull. And what you're going to do there is you're going to be stretching the tentorium, which is the membrane that goes down through the middle of the brain. So you'll be stretching that very slightly. So you just want to pull a little bit on that, and you'll feel the ears maybe rotating a little bit. Just follow that, and pull that out. And so that's about, the best thing that would open up and expand the head a little bit more. So if it's a pressure kind of headache, some headaches are just, they would require a little bit more, like making sure that the sphenoid bone is balanced, but that's a difficult bone to teach.
But let them know that you teach how to do that in your course.
Yes, yeah, I do. I have a course out there, and this goes more into depth. Headaches, depends on the headache. Sometimes it takes a few sessions to get the headache to go, depending on the headache. And sometimes we have to figure out what's triggering it and all that. So yeah, but if you do those three bones, you're going to be giving a little space. That might give a little bit more relief to a headache. You can kind of do it to yourself too, but it's easier if someone else is doing it for you.
And then what about so here, let me just I'm just gonna take this back for 1 second and say
Okay,
talking to them for a second.
I keep
When
talking.
you talked about how the ear affects the cerebrospinal fluid.
Well, it's opening up the cerebral spinal fluid flows through a membrane that's in the brain, and it goes through the ventricles, and it's kind of cleanses the nervous system. And just pulling these ears, it allows the tentorium, which, well, it actually all the brains, all of the membranes, the fox cerebri and cerebelli, which is the one that goes flat at the top and the bottom. But the ears, when you're pulling on the ears, you're actually getting kind of a stretching of that membrane. So if you think while you're pulling the ears, if you kind of think in your head and visualize that, yes, the ears, but very lightly, don't just pull them out like you're trying to dislodge them. Just very, very gently, and keep pulling until it feels like it stops, and then just hold it a while. That's also giving a little bit of a stretch to those membranes. And then with the other little headpiece that you did, it'll help the organs, I guess you could call them, that are in the head to have a little bit wiggle room to, be a little bit depressurized. Because headaches are really, they're terrible. I mean, they really are. I can't stand having a headache. I don't get them very often, fortunately, but
I'm gonna take this back for a second here.
okay. It's Corrina's
Oh.
turn.
I think I muted it and then I unmuted it. So I just wanted to say that when she mentioned the sphenoid bone, this technique you will learn in her subtle alignment course. So when you watch the YouTube videos, at the end of the videos, I have a little ad for, it's called the Foundations of Subtle Alignment. And basically we go through the entire body. She goes from the bottom of the foot up to the very top of the head, teaching you every single element of the subtle anatomy, and then you're also going to learn a bunch of the techniques. And then there's a like an hour-long video where she does the full session on me, and then there's another video where she's showing like in depth, like working on like the clavicle stuff that helps relieve neck and shoulder pain. There's a whole one on the head, and so showing this. So this bone inside, if y'all can see it, that bone in the middle, that's the sphenoid bone, and it's really important. And you can just barely access it through the sides,
The temple.
at the temples. And so all of these little techniques she's kind of talking about in general here, but if you want to really actually learn how to do that subtle alignment technique and engage with the sphenoid bone to dramatically have these positive effects on people when you're working them, check out her course, because she literally teaches you exactly how to do it and what to feel for. And then I also wanted to say the video that I posted yesterday where she's doing the relaxation technique on Melissa. She shows the ear technique that she was talking about in like super up close detail. So you'll learn the ear technique in that one. And then also some of the positions she was showing at the beginning, she does all of those in that video with Melissa.
Yeah,
So
and a lot of that is a little bit more massagey to relax, but and I would highly recommend, if you are a massage therapist, getting this particular understanding and get it into your hands. You would be amazed at how much it's going to elevate your practice, because the schools that I'm familiar with aren't giving you even as good a massage therapy as I got, and that was in the 80s. So, and I just had to learn myself of what it was, and that's how I came up with all of this, because I I wanted to help people, and I found that some things just weren't helping, and things I was taught weren't helping, like heavy pressure or pushing into the sciatic nerve instead of realigning the sacrum. So all of that I just developed over the years, and I found out that it's really, really effective. The biggest issue I think that's happening out in the real world is that it's kind of way ahead of the curve, and people just have a difficult time understanding the subtle anatomy. In fact, I think that those of you who have been watching my videos probably have a better understanding than a lot of therapists out there. And it's okay to blend things with your therapy, but massage and then this subtle technique is really a good combination. You can do, like, Reiki with it or too, but I just think when you're touching the body, and then you'll be using the subtle techniques also in the massage work, which is it's mind blowing. I mean, I'm still in shock when people get up and say something, you know, and then they call me the next day. They go, "Well, it hurts," and I'm saying, "Well, that's because you're rearranging your body. So call me in 48 hours," and they never do because they're fine then. But yeah, that's really important. I worked, people with sciatica, and I worked one lady years and years ago, and she came in twice because she lived in Houston, and they happened to be visiting here in Austin, and she saw me on a video. I guess it was the other channel then, and she came in with this pretty bad sciatic pain. She had 2 sessions, and I have not seen her. Gosh, that was probably in like 2016. I haven't seen her since then. She sent people to me, but she's still holding. The sciatic doesn't bother her at all anymore. There was, I think, one incident in there where she lifted something that was a little heavy and kind of twisted, and she could feel something that wasn't right. So she, came to Austin immediately, and it was just one little session, and there we were, back at the right position, and so I haven't seen her since. That was probably 2020. So,
will you show on Skelly? I just pulled Skelly up behind you.
uh-huh.
About the sciatic nerve, and then it's just such a common problem. If you just want to talk a little bit about sciatica, and then I'm just going to step out super quickly, and I'll be right back.
Okay, well, the sciatic nerve isn't really shown here because it's a pretty big nerve, and it comes down through, it's in the sacrum, and it comes through the hip, and then it'll run down the leg. So the pain is usually running down the leg. Sometimes it'll go all the way to the foot. So that's a problem. But what I learned, and I learned this when I was in India, because they had discs that were out, and I thought, what am I doing here? I just don't even know what to do with these discs. But then I just had to think of something, because I didn't know where I was. I didn't know the language. I didn't know how to get out of there. I didn't know anything. They had hired me. They flew me over there because they didn't want surgery. And a lot of them had just sciatic pain, and they were very happy. But the thing is I learned through that the sciatic stuff, that was in like 2012, 2013, something like that. But the thing is that this is the sacrum, and that bone is oftentimes, when it gets a little bit off kilter, it'll affect L5S1 because it's crooked. So when you can get your fingers in between uh, the sciatic top part of the sciatic bone and then to L5, and you can get your fingers in there and you can just traction it very slowly, just traction it down. And that's not a pull. You're not like really pulling. You're just giving a little edge on it. Just, it's almost more like your hand is skin stretching the sciatica, or the sacrum. So you just get your fingers in there and you can actually go down to the dural tube. Sometimes you have to feel it energetically. Most of the time you do. It's pretty hard to feel. But you can feel it energetically, and you traction it a little bit, and at the same time you're tractioning the the sacrum, and to be pulled down, but with your fingers in there on the dural tube, you're also stretching the dural tube all the way up the spine. And so when you do that, you can also feel, and they're always laying on their back because it's a heavy and it's a hard position to hold very long, but you can stretch your legs when you're doing it and stuff like that. But when you can stretch that dural tube, which is inside, the dural tube wraps around the spinal cord, then you're actually getting that stretch going all the way up. And you can tell once your hands get used to what it's feeling, you can tell where there's another blockage. So if I'm tractioning this, and I've got my fingers inside there and I feel the traction, and I'm actually also tractioning the dural tube, that if there's something out of place or a twisting in the dural tube, like say at, I don't know, T12 or somewhere, you can feel that, and then you just hold it, and the longer you hold it, you'll start to feel it unwind, and then it'll start stretching again. So you actually give a nice stretch to the dural tube, and that will go up, and then that's why you want to also work on the head, because that part where Corrina was showing you with the skull, that it was the yellow bone along with the purple bone, that's where where that's joining together. That is the fulcrum of the body, and that's where you have to be balanced to have a really nice straight spine. There's a technique that balances the atlas, and I had a girl in here this morning, a woman in here this morning, that went to one of those, and she was so thrown out of whack that I had to correct all that, and she felt a whole lot better after that was corrected, because I was able to get to both sides to correct that, so it wasn't like these building blocks going all over the place. So that's about sciatica. And then if you're working with discs, then that's really a hard one, and that takes a number. Mostly, it depends on how bad the disc displacement is, but that has to go with a lot of, like, you're on that sphenoid bone for a long time, and you have to just slowly, traction it, and then you kind of feel it stop, and then it'll traction again a little bit, and it'll stop again, because it's like it'll stretch so far, and then it has to wait, and then it reorganizes, and then it'll stretch a little bit more. And what that does, and this is what I noticed when I was in India, is it will pull things down, these vertebrae, it'll let them stretch with the dural tube, and then it waits a little while, and then it's working through that particular disc that's out. But it has to give enough space between the vertebrae in order for the disc to be able to move back in. And it's a very slow, very tedious process. But when they don't have their disc issue anymore, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, these people, one came on a gurney, I think I've told this story before, came on a gurney, was flat on his back for 2 months, and couldn't even sit. And after doing a 2-hour session the first time, he was able to sit up, stand up, and walk 8 steps. He was still in major pain, but it had moved enough to where he could actually sit, which he hadn't been able to do for 2 months, and stand and walk. The second time in, he walked a little further, and he opened the door where his family was, and I thought I was going to have to chisel their jaw off the floor because they just dropped their jaw. They couldn't believe what they were seeing, that he was walking. And he went up 8 stairs and back down 8 stairs. So but it took two 2-hour sessions, and I was probably on the tractioning stuff for a good hour, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, but it seemed like it was a lot more. And of course I worked his head as well to get that all straightened out. And so we just worked through it, and it will work. But I'll tell you, if you're a therapist, you got to have patience and just have a heart of gratitude that you can do this to help them. And then also just take your time and, you know, just be grateful that you're going to help them. You know, keep yourself in a really high thing instead of thinking, oh man, my arm hurts. Oh man, they're so heavy on my hand, it's squishing my hand. You can't think of that stuff because that's definitely part of the whole thing. And like, oh, I'm so tired of being twisted, I got to change my position, but you can't. You have to just stay there, and you get good results, and it's well worth it. I mean, I just am so happy when I can see that happen. I kind of dread it to start, but then I get the dread out of the way and I go, no, no dread, it's negative. Let's not do that. Oh, his jaw is wacky.
And then there's no other questions, but I would say if there's anything else that you want to share, and then we'll do a little more singing bowls. But
Well, there's not really much more. I feel like I've covered a lot. If you're interested in learning more about the energy bodies and how they're connected to the physical body, they do work together. The meridians and the chakras, they really do. It's not separated from the physical, which is, you know, we're all at a different place in our growth and in our understanding and on our journey. But it's a lot of this stuff, it's like people don't want to, it's just a tendency that we're all kind of under, is once we learn like a basic thing, we don't really want to keep doing the basic thing. But what I've noticed over the years is that if I don't do the basic, like the basic 10-step, then anything else I do just doesn't work as efficiently.
explain, what is the basic 10-step? What do you mean? In case people don't know what you mean when you say that.
The basic 10-step was designed by John Upledger because he knew that people would take the course, and a lot of people would take cranial 1. So it's like cranial 1.
Craniosacral.
Yeah, cranial sacral 1, which you can take that at Upledger. And then, of course, if you have any questions, it's pretty intense. So a lot of people come to me after they've taken that course, and they've wanted a little coaching because they're not very secure about doing the head placements and all that, the hand placement on the head. But I do the basic work every single time, even when somebody comes in and has been there before. I don't have to do it as long, but the 10-step is where you open up the diaphragms, and then you check for the cranial rhythm of the body to see where the misalignments are. And then you do there's stuff you do on the head, and then you do the sacral pull. And there is like a rock and glide that I don't use very often. And that's basically, there's like 10 steps or so to that process. And that is the ground floor. And I notice even sometimes with people that have been here a lot, I want to go through basically the full 10-step, even though I can move faster because their body's a little more primed for it. So I don't have to wait as long on the bone to do what it needs to do. But I'll do that every time because I want the basics down, because it's just like, you know, piano players who are really good at the piano, they do the scales over and over and over, you know. And that's a very basic thing to do. But they'll just keep practicing that way. Violin players, they'll do, you know, anything. You know, football players, basketball players, they go out and they practice, and they practice. Basically, a lot of the stuff that they practice is the basics, because they have that's a foundation. So never feel like, oh, I don't need to do the basics anymore. I can just get into the somato-emotional release. Well, if you don't open up the system, you're not going to get a lot of emotional response, because part of that work depends on having the system in a different frequency, which cranial sacral therapy can do if people allow it to go, allow to do the work, which is relax. So I should give them some of this, but then they probably would never get off the table.
You need a big giant spatula to scoop them away with.
Yeah, or a net underneath them, and then just hang them up like in a hammock. Have a row of hammocks up.
This is actually a really good idea. We're gonna make this happen in real life.
Whoa, well, we'll see how the client will like that.
Okay, all right. You ready to play some bowls?
Sure,
You
I'll
just
play
say
bowls
you
for a little
can kinda-
while. Yeah,
Alright.
remember, it's Calm Forte. Calm Forte. You can get it online,
Okay.
and that's a good quality.
This was so lovely. This was such a nice time.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here. I hope that.
I didn't mute it. Sorry, y'all. I was trying to mute it and I didn't mute it. But I don't really think they can hear you very well.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
but there we go. That should be good.
Is it on?
Yeah. You're good to go.
Do you hear the bowl change? Thank you all so much. Keep going. As long as they like it still.
They love it.
Oh, okay.
They would listen for hours if you wanted to go for hours.
You know, you could. Some of you may be able to hear how the bowls, when there's another tone coming in or another frequency coming in, that the bowl will actually change a little bit. I don't know if it can pick it up through this mic, but it's pretty amazing because the wavelengths are coming out and they kind of blend up here somewhere in space. This has a very low tone to it right now. Would you hand me that red?
So many people just thank you so much. I learned so much here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for answering my question. All right, there you go.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the questions. I'm glad Corrina was here to help with the plantar fasciitis. That was very helpful, so take that and give it a try. Yeah, I just thank you so much. I appreciate every one of you. I'm hoping that you get some value out of what I do. It's been a long, hard road to get here to this point, but it's been worth it. And I'm going to keep fighting to take that big, I guess you'd call it a battle on, and defy what I've been told. I'm going to definitely do that because You know, there's going to be some maybe rough times ahead, but it's going to be way different here, not too many more months, maybe faster than we think. And then when we have a new medical system, none of us will be sick anymore. So keep kind of thinking that way and put those vibrations out there, because now that the Supreme Court and the Chevron thing are out of the way, that's a big, big, huge step for our power as the people to be back in control and help us out to flourish and to prosper and to just enjoy unity and love. So thank you so much, and I look forward to the next time I get to sit here and talk to you.
So Craft and Cake with Billy asked, where can I find these bowls? They're so relaxing. Do you want to just talk a little bit about the bowls and where you got them?
Well, these bowls I got from a guy that was taking trips over to Singapore or wherever he was going, and he got them there. You can buy new bowls, but these are hand hammered bowls, and hand hammered bowls, they will augment. So you'll get some different tones with them sometimes. You know, if you have a little machine that, you know, you're hitting it and you think it's an A, it'll maybe go to A sharp, you know, G, it'll move around because it's augmenting. The new bowls, they sound okay, but they're made with machines and they don't augment. So you could look online for hand hammered bowls. They are quite pricey, actually. Like a bowl like this back in, when did I get this? In the 90s, it was $1,200. And fortunately, this was the first bowl somebody gave me. He actually gave it to me because he said I was a bowl player. And I thought, no, I'm not a bowl player, but it's...
You're a bowl player.
It's turned out that I can make music.
It turns out you're quite the bowl player,
Yeah.
my dear.
Yeah. So it is an investment, but they are beautiful. And even if you just have one, you can also rim these deeper bowls. This type of a bowl is harder to rim. And if you want to give me that little stick, I can show them briefly how to rim. This is rimming takes a little bit of a practice.
Here, let me move the microphone.
Oh, okay. And let me move the wire so I don't get tripped on the wire. There's another technique, but I don't really like to, unless I have the bowls laying on the person, then I don't usually rim it. You can hear the augmenting. It's getting louder on its own. I'm not making it louder. And then hear that. Yeah. So that's rimming. These bowls are very hard, the little ones too. I don't know if I can make this one rim. It's just a little more difficult. Oh, wait. This one is rimming. Oh, I'm surprised. Usually it's really hard. I guess it likes you people out there. Now when you hear that little jiggle, it means that it's breaking up some negative energy. Thank you, bowl. Yeah, this one, usually I've had trouble rimming it, but I guess it likes the energy that you're all sending through the video. So, yeah, thank you so much. But yeah, you do want to look for the hand hammered ones. And I suppose I could check and see if that guy is still selling those. I don't know. I've lost track of him for a long time because he was living over in Singapore and then he moved somewhere back to the United States, and I just lost track of him.
Excellent. Oh, so many people loved the bowl
Oh,
discussion
thank
and
you.
sending positive thoughts and energy. Lauren says you are a stellar bowl player. Thank you.
Oh,
That is
thank
so
you.
awesome. Thank you for the demonstration.
Well, I try to please.
Yeah. And then I was thinking, could you talk about like what is the philosophy of subtle alignment or of subtle body work? Just as kind of like,
I don't know if there is a philosophy of it.
but like I guess you know however you would see it.
Well,
Like,
how I see it is that it aligns not only the subtle parts of the body, which will allow the bigger parts of the body to also align, because it'll follow that, because it's more internal, and then it'll pick up. It just vibrates differently with the sound. Like the sound is going to carry it differently because as the subtle alignment with the physical becomes in good alignment, I'm not looking farther outside the body, but I'm looking farther inside the body. It's going to affect how the flow with the energy of the meridians is going to be functioning. And then also the chakras, which the chakras have these little things, I think it's called nadas, something like that. I'm still studying this. And the frequency that they carry, because the chakras are over not only nerve plexus, but they're also over a gland. And some of the vibration that particular chakra through the nadis needs is that it'll go into the glands. And from what I understand, and I have to look more into this, so I might not be right about it, but from what I'm understanding is that the vibration will actually help us make hormones. So it connects down to the very function of the body. So it's important to start to look at the bodies very differently, because this physical body is, and this is going to, I mean, I don't want to get into a long thing, but from what I also am understanding is that, you know, the planet is going through all these changes as well. The Schumann resonance is going crazy, and there's a frequency change with the planet. And some of you may get this and some of you may not, but that's okay. So our bodies are also trying to keep up with the planet. So if we are aligned well and our meridians and all that is carrying the energy through, that it seems like we'll be able to move out of this carbon base into a more of a crystalline base. Because there was a fella I was listening to, he was fascinating. He was just asking questions because he didn't have the answers, but they were fascinating. And one of the things that he said, why a long, 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 long time ago did wood basically petrify, and then there were crystals? He showed pictures of this. And then there's crystals inside of this petrified big logs, big trees. And he says, now the wood will rot. And he said, do you suppose it has something to do with the difference between being a carbon base, and maybe a long time ago it was crystalline base and we've fallen into a lower vibration? I don't know, but I think it's fascinating to think of. So in answer to your inquiry, it's a wide open thing to start to use your imagination and see what's happening with, you know, and just ask questions and keep an imaginative mind, because a lot of things that's coming, I believe, are going. It has to have an imagination going on, because it can't be logical. After you get so far in the imagination and you see that a lot of this connects with science, then it starts to make more sense. It's like connecting dots or putting a big, huge jigsaw puzzle together. You start getting pieces of it, and then pretty soon you know. So that's kind of what, what I have to say about that. That's my own perspective and what I've studied not very deeply, but I'm going to be going deeper into it with this book, Vibrational Medicine. and just see what's happening. But I also know there's some pretty fantastic things coming for for frequency medicine that is high tech. I mean, some people call it off-world technology, which may or may not be so. So yeah, there's a lot ahead of us. So it's good to start to think in different ways and shed kind of the old. And the most important thing is to be in gratitude and be grateful and just trust that whatever's happening, it's for a reason, and that you, even though you might not feel like it, are really important. You have a place in the world. And even how big or how small it is doesn't matter. As long as you're affecting people in a positive way, you speak to them positively and, try to work through all of that to get to that point, then the world will be able to change. And it's going to be a really beautiful world. I really believe that. I really do. So, yeah. So, once again, I want to thank you so much for your time and questions. And I just hope that I was able to answer some of them.
Yes, everyone had so much fun. Yeah. All right, so here is our get well soon card. All right, Athena. So, anyone who would like to sign the card, basically, I will sign your name, but I have a bunch of colors here. So, you can tell me what color you would like your name signed in. We got blue, green, orange, purple, pink, red. And then I'm just going to assume all of my moderators would like to sign, and I will start signing y'all on here. So I know some of y'all maybe aren't still here, but Panda was here. I saw Mel B in the house. Hello, Mel. Good to see you. Um, yes, I think we had a really fun chat today. So, yes, you should definitely you can, rewatch the beginning. All right, so we have Billy in pink. Thank you so much, Billy. I'm going to have to subscribe to your channel because I love crafts and cake. I love them. Do you want to pull? You don't have to sit on the side. Okay. All right. Okay, so here we go. Our first name being signed is Billy. Would you like dots, stars, or hearts dotting the I's in your name? Okay, Mel B in purple. And then those of y'all who were in my TikTok last night, we made one of these and we had a whole full page of people who signed it during the TikTok live. We also have the e-card available, and that link has been shared a few times in the chat. So you should be able to just kind of scroll up in the chat. You'll see the e-card. That is if anyone would like to type a special message for Athena. It means so much when y'all kind of let her know how the videos have helped you, and it just kind of gives her that real person connection that we don't really get because when we're making the videos, we're just in here by ourselves. And we post them and we see y'all's comments, and that's sweet. That means so much to us. But this is just kind of like another way. Those of you who would like to send your get well wishes to Athena, or just let her know how her videos have, impacted you over your life, anyone is welcome to do that as well. Okay, green for Rachel from Ireland. Rachel from Ireland. Okay. Rocky in red. Come on, pull back in, Athena. Come be part of us.
Well, I've got something for you, so I'm
Okay.
here.
Let's see. I'm going to just put Rocky M there. Okay, purple for Mel B. Lindsay in blue. Yes, indeedy. Josie. Okay, thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing that e-card link. And then I want to thank everyone who has supported Athena's GoFundMe account. So many of y'all have left donations for her there. Between all the medical bills she has now been bombarded with, and not being able to see the typical number of clients that she sees. That's how she's, how she makes her ends meet is, doing sessions with people. So physically, she's not able to do as many sessions as she normally would be able to. So that it's affecting her income, in addition to all the months she's spent kind of healing and recovering and laid up in bed, unable to work, etc. It's been certainly a challenge. So all of you who have donated on the GoFundMe, thank you so much. That link is in all of her video descriptions as well. So if you're someone who is just, finding us here, maybe on this chat today, and this is new information for you, there is the GoFundMe link available for anyone in a position that they would like to support in that way. Okay, and then let's see. Oh my gosh, Billy says, Athena helped me through labor with all of my 3 children. Thank you so much, Athena. Fantastic. And then, yeah, Lauren says you don't need an account on Canva, or that's the site where the e-card is being created. You don't need an account in order to sign it. You should be able to go in and sign your name there and leave a note. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and sign a couple of the mods who were here earlier in the chat. I didn't want to, let's see. Actually, I can just go right up to the top. Let's see.
We can sign some of them.
Yeah. So I'm going to sign Nick on here, G, and Erica. Berica. Oh, this one doesn't work anymore. Pew. That is one thing about markers, right? Eventually they're like, I'm out of here, buddy. Okay. Erica. Axe is here. I can't remember. You know what? I think I signed Axe on the other card. Okay, and then Kim Lamonti. She had a question in here earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and sign her name. Oh, yeah, and then Panda. I was going to sign for Panda on here.
Wow.
But yeah, so I don't know if y'all could hear her little wow just now there, but this just kind of gives her a, because I always tell her, oh my gosh, Athena, you have so many people who appreciate your videos and people who are praying for you to get through this you're going through. And so this just kind of gives her an IRL, right? A kind of tangible way of just, seeing the people, seeing y'all's names. And then she's scooting back
itching in here because Corrina has been a stronghold for me for a long time. And she's encouraged me to do live chats and things, and the videos that we're getting up. And we work hard at them. She works especially hard. And before we got started today, I felt a nudge in my heart that I needed to give her something. And I'd like to do it here. And this is a blue sapphire.
That is so beautiful. I will hold it up to the screen for y'all in a second. Thank you. I'm really sweaty right now.
Oh,
so
you
I
are sweaty.
apologize. Yeah, I'm
It's
pretty
hot
darn
in here.
sweaty. It's
Yeah.
a little warm in here. Thank you so much. This is so beautiful.
It's a
gosh.
sapphire. So.
Oh my goodness.
And it's beautifully wrapped.
Oh, it's beautiful. When the light comes through it, let me show it to them. This is stunning. Oh my goodness. goodness. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's just,
Oh my goodness.
I'm glad you like it.
Wow. Oh, it's beautiful. You kind of can't see the light coming through it very well in the way that we're sitting up right now, but it's. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're so sweet. And then if you want to say a thank you here for everyone signing this card, and then we will go ahead and say
Yeah,
our
and
goodbye.
And thank you, people. I just can't, I just don't have words of how much I appreciate you and how much I appreciate that you appreciate my lifelong work. And there's a lot of things I'm still learning, but I do know a fair amount of things. And yeah, you all mean a lot to me. And I love you out there. So just, just keep on being great people. You all have value. You all have worth. You're all here for a reason, so.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. I will be live on my channel. It'll probably take me a couple hours to just get home and get set up and everything, but I will see some of y'all a bit later on my channel. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We love you, appreciate you. Don't forget to relax, babies.
Need help sleeping.
Love you guys so much. Thank you all for being here and for your amazing questions. We appreciate y'all so much.